It almost flew up my nose that time, seriously. It's very distracting. How can you leverage passwordless authentication to help protect yourselves against threat actors like Scattered Spider? Entra ID can implement these authentication methods and flows. Let's find out how. My name is Alex. I'm the cybersecurity specialist here at Synextra. I hope you find this useful or interesting. Quick review of Scattered Spider's TTPs, that's tactics, techniques, and procedures relating to authentication. So as we covered in my last video, Scattered Spider loves social engineering. It's the #1 play, and hardening your authentication can be a great step in the right direction to helping mitigate the threat they, and other threat actors like them, pose to your organization. They like to focus on smishing, that's SMS phishing, and other SIM card manipulation techniques like SIM swapping. They specialize in gaining initial access through credential theft, abusing password reset mechanics, and impersonation. So how can adopting passwordless authentication help with this? If you're not using SMS or phone-based authentication methods, you can't break in that way. Can't steal credentials that are device-bound or stored in a secure enclave. Can't do OTP, that's one-time password, replay attacks against flows that don't use OTP. This really puts limitations on how your environment can be attacked. Let's have a quick overview of legacy authentication methods available in Entra ID. So what do I mean when I say legacy authentication methods? Well, the #1 is passwords. Passwords still work great in any situation that requires simple authentication, but they can't really be used on their own in any scenario open to any non-trusted party. So can't be internet facing, can't be in a public space, anything like that. Passwords' major weaknesses are that they are very susceptible to credential stuffing, where known username password combinations are either collected from the dark web or guessed and forced into the username field. Brute force attacks, trying every available password combination, quite often done in efficient ways like dictionary attacks, where they take different words and try to put them together. And phishing attacks. I would also consider SMS and phone-based secondary authentication to fall into this category now as well, with how prevalent SIM swapping attacks have become. What's worse is telecom-based authentication is clear text. That is, it's transported across the network without encryption. So those little SMS-based one-time codes you get, they're not encrypted from where they're sent to you. This makes it a true concern for any entity worried about nation-state level threat actors, as espionage agents have likely already compromised those telecommunication networks. Just take the recent examples in the US. So while still better than nothing, it's getting increasingly obvious that we need to step up and move to better authentication methods. TOTP, that's time-based one-time passwords, and push. These are other methods we can use. The TOTP standard was established in 2011, expanding upon the even older HOTP standard from 2005. The major difference between the two is that HOTP, that's HMAC one-time passwords, HMAC is a type of hashing algorithm, uses event-based codes, and TOTP, that's time-based one-time passwords, expands this to use the current time value instead. TOTP's main benefit is that the codes are only valid for a short window, as the HOTP event counter only increments on a successful authentication, making them vulnerable to brute forcing. TOTP is the modern 6-digit codes you see almost everywhere these days. So you're talking your Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator sometimes. You see that all over. While significantly stronger than SMS and password, they are mostly susceptible to an attack called an OTP relay, where the threat actor captures the credentials and the TOTP code using a phishing page or similar, and then immediately, that's straight away, rapidly, quickly, uses those still currently valid TOTP code and username password to log into the system they're breaking into, hence replaying or relaying the authentication flow. So, we're moving onwards in our authentication journey. And what comes after TOTP? Most TOTP delivered these days is through an app, usually on your mobile phone. So we have an app installed that users are already using for authentication. Why don't we use the same app to prompt the user to approve a login attempt? Push notifications were the first step towards a phishing-resistant future, especially once Microsoft and others started using an additional wrapper like a 2-digit code on the screen you had to confirm with the push. This squashes most of the previous styles of attack we've seen, but introduces a new one, MFA fatigue. Basically sending so many authentication requests, the user either makes a mistake and accidentally approves it, or just approves it to make it go away. Stop. Just leave me alone. Now onto the interesting stuff. Modern passwordless authentication. The biggest differentiator between the methods I've mentioned and these is how the underlying authentication actually functions. In all previous methods, the server you're authenticating to stores the secret, be it password, certificate, or other. With Passkeys, or Windows Hello for Business, the client holds the secret, and the server authenticates that secret. This architectural change is what makes these methods so much stronger. We'll start with Passkeys, which are an elegant and simple solution to provide very strong authentication. The concept of asymmetric cryptography is well understood by now. The same type of crypto that is used for TLS, that's transport layer security, and therefore most notably in HTTPS, that's your web connection. When a passkey is registered, a key pair is created, the public and the private. The client device, that's your mobile phone, your Windows laptop, stores the private key, and the server or service that you're authenticating to stores a copy of the public key. This means that if the service provider gets hacked or the authentication is intercepted, it doesn't matter, as it's only the public key that's been compromised. The private key is stored securely on the device, be that in a TPM chip, Samsung Knox, or Apple Secure Enclave. Once this is in place, it's simple to prove cryptographically that the user attempting to log in has access to that secure private key. The way this works is the website or service provides a challenge and sends it to the application the user is trying to log in with. That application then asks the user to verify, usually through a biometric, so that's normally fingerprint, facial recognition, all of that good stuff, and or proximity using Bluetooth, which allows the passkey to sign the challenge, that's cryptographically signed, so take the challenge, put your little cryptographic stamp on it with the private key, and this is then sent back to the service provider, and the user logs in. This seems quite complicated, right? But what actually it means in practice is the user clicks login, enters their email, gets a prompt for their passkey, and they go, oh, I got a passkey, and they go, allow, plug in their hardware key, if it's a hardware passkey, hits allow, verifies, and boom, they're logged in. Now, what does this mean for your defense? That's the important bit, right? Passkeys in Entra ID can be configured to not be syncable. That means they're device-bound. The nature of the secure storage technology, so that's TPM, Knox, Secure Enclave, etc., means that it's not possible to extract that private key material from them. So the user authentication cannot be stolen unless the entire device is. They will also not work on fake or phishing websites and are almost entirely immune to AITM, that's adversary in the middle, attacks, due to the nature of the challenge and response, which validates the origin of the request. So what we've got here is highly phishing resistant, simple login flow, and support for software and hardware keys. Certainly onto a winner here, and Microsoft seems to think so. They have recently announced that they will be moving to Passkeys as the new default login method for all new consumer Microsoft accounts. That's, your everyday Joe Blogg's good old-fashioned Hotmail account. I guess it's not really Hotmail anymore. I'm kind of aging myself a bit there. All new accounts are in fact passwordless by default and will prompt the user to create a passkey. In addition, NCSC, that's the National Cybersecurity Centre, has also just announced an initiative to move all UK government services to a passkey-based system as well, depreciating and removing the old SMS-based services. Both organisations have now joined the FIDO Alliance, an open industrial association who are focused on eliminating the reliance on passwords. Windows Hello for Business is a simple and easy way to bring passwordless authentication to your Entra environment. If your devices are only Entra registered, then by default, you can leverage Windows Hello for Business. During the enrollment process, the user is prompted to set up a PIN and or biometric authentication, and then Windows Hello for Business creates an asymmetric key pair similar to a passkey. The user can then simply log into any application or site using Entra ID as its identity provider by using Windows Hello. Things get a little trickier in hybrid and on-premises only environments, however, requiring a bit more setup. Hybrid environments need you to set up Cloud Kerberos Trust. Complex term, I know. We're not going to get into it in too much detail. This will allow you to use Passkeys, and then Windows Hello for Business as well, to access on-premises applications. You do this by setting up a Kerberos server object within your Active Directory, which is completed by using the Azure AD Hybrid Authentication Management PowerShell module. That's a mouthful. This enables FIDO2 and Windows Hello for Business authentication for hybrid joined directories. There are also mechanisms to support key trust and certificate trust deployments, which require additional configuration, including the setup and configuration of Active Directory federated services. Finally, on-premises deployments require the use of key or certificate trust deployment, as they don't support Cloud Kerberos Trust. Same setup as you had previously, but you have to use key or certificate. To wrap up, Passkeys in Windows Hello for Business can allow lower friction authentication flow for end users. That's a big gain. Forgotten passwords are a thing of the past, something people tend to overlook. Users don't forget their passwords because they can't forget passwords. They can lose devices, but not forget their password. They can't be stolen, and they can't be phished in the same way a password can. MFA fatigue isn't possible. You're not going to be receiving hundreds or thousands of authentication requests, and you just need to make them go away when that's not possible. Physical proximity is required, so you have to have that physical passkey, or have it set up on your phone, or it's device bound to the device you're using to log in. You're raising the bar. You're limiting the known TTPs, again, that's tactics, techniques, and procedures, from scattered spider to the help desk impersonation and authentication reset impersonation, removing credential theft and phishing from the table. With luck, moving to a passwordless, preferably passkey, I think they're great. I think they're the way forwards, and it seems Microsoft and the UK government agrees, will significantly lower your attack surface. It can be a bit of a change for our end users, a bit of a challenge to switch, but one that is well worth the initial hassle of the migration. Thanks for your time, everyone. Have a great day, and best of luck with your passwordless journey.